Thank you. I'm an anthropologist, which means that I work in a field-based science. I study humans, human populations, human behavior, human decision-making, and the ways that humans create meaning and meaningful lives in a lab. Not in a lab, but my lab is the field, out in the wild. So over the last 10 years, I've actually been studying the impacts and interactions of social relations on physical infrastructures, or what in anthropology we call people as infrastructure. I study the wide range of people and stakeholders and how they imagine, build, use, break, plan, or refuse infrastructure. I've actually conducted field work in several parts of the world, so I have a very strong commitment to transnational and transcultural infrastructure in my research. I have 4 discrete projects, and I'm just going to touch on them very quickly. The first one is actually with taxi drivers that looks at the changing industry and how road development and impacts on health and environment interact with transport work. Second, how algorithmic life or platform economies and digital infrastructures affect labor and household dynamics in various parts of the world. The third project is actually a collaborative one that I'm working on with my colleagues in archaeology, where we're actually mapping how people over time have actually created rest stops along global roads, and we're planning this as a field-based project that will have a field school for students. The fourth project is a research project that I'm doing on a cross-border corridor between India and Pakistan, where I study the ways that new border infrastructures impact land use, the environment, and social relationship in border surrounding areas. So you might actually ask, what is a social scientist doing studying these kinds of things that would otherwise be studied by engineers? And this is why working as a social scientist in the field of infrastructure is actually very exciting, because it helps me to build, and bear with me for the infrastructure metaphor, building bridges with other disciplines. I hadn't actually paid enough attention to how much infrastructural metaphors populate the work that we do in a university. So here's a bit actually on the collaborative bridges that I think are not only pertinent, but also absolutely imperative. One is the promotion of team science, and I learned a lot of this through my work at the National Science Foundation for 3 years that I spent there. And I think the team science is a concrete way in which to think about multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary teamwork. The second is the balance between depth and breadth, or between specialization and collaboration, between inter- and cross-institutional work. My own department at UIC actually has cross-institutional partnerships with the federal government and with units and institutions in our city, particularly the Field Museum. And these actually all require very different institutional people as infrastructure. The last two are the bridge of scientific outreach. You know, science itself is very important, but outreach to our different publics, and we have many, many different publics, those are very important. And scientific mentoring, which is the pipeline of scientific research. And I'll end by saying that all this talk about material infrastructures always reminds me of something that I learned when I started working on roads, is that roads are actually, an infrastructure is a human imagination put into material form. So I also ask and hope that we can continue to use our imagination. Thank you so much.